Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jedley. Welcome to Reading with Your Kids. We are beaming out to you and the entire planet from the beautiful, book-loving neighborhood of Reedville, the loveliest neighborhood in all of Boston. You know, we believe that our mission here is all about connection, connecting kids with books, families with each other, and communities through the power of story. Every episode, we are joined by incredible authors and creators whose work lights up kids' lives. You can join us in our mission by telling all of your family and friends about the show, letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, and they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, YouTube. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. We have a wonderful show lined up for you today. First up, Jean Huxtable Hamerski is here to celebrate her picture book, Marley's Masterpiece. And later in the show, Andrew Ginsberg will join us to celebrate his picture book, The Colors of My Sky. This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Fart Boy and Reeky Dog, Dino Doom. Fantastic new graphic novel written by New York Times bestselling author Jean Huxtable, who's written over 200 amazing books for kids. It's school sleepover at the museum. What could go wrong? Well, how about this? A snack-fueled explosion of garbanzo beans and peanuts unleashes a stink so powerful it brings the dinosaurs back to life. Now, Fart Boy, Reeky Dog, and their friends are in the middle of a dino-sized disaster. They have to solve tricky riddles, find missing bones, and stop the stinkiest villain of all, Professor Gravy Pants. Because if they don't, the dinosaurs could take over. Or worse, they could become Dino Dinner. This action-packed graphic novel is bursting with friendships, adventure, and enough laughs to shake the museum walls. If your kids love superheroes, if they love dinosaurs, and if they love to laugh until they can't breathe, then Fart Boy and Reeky Dog Dino Doom is the book for you. Because sometimes the power to save the world comes from the unlikeliest place. Grab your copy today and get ready for a reading adventure that's truly dynamite. This episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by Atmosphere Press. Have you been dreaming about publishing a children's book, one that sparks imagination, creates bedtime memories, and maybe even becomes part of a family's story for years to come? The truth is, great ideas deserve more than a file sitting on your laptop. They deserve to become real books, beautifully designed, professionally published, and ready to reach young readers everywhere. At Atmosphere Press, you get expert guidance through every step of the journey, from editing and illustration to design, distribution, and marketing. So your book doesn't just get published, it gets positioned for success. Whether it's your first picture book, a middle grade adventure, or the story you've been carrying for years, now's the time to bring it to life. Visit atmospherepress.com to send in your manuscript and see what your book could become. That's atmospherepress.com, where your book can go above and beyond even your wildest dreams. Join us right now from Green Bay and the wonderful state of Wisconsin. Our guest is here today to celebrate her new picture book. It's called Marley's Masterpiece. Please welcome to the show, Jean Huxtable Hamerski. Jean, how are you?
Doing good today. I'm happy to be here.
I'm delighted to have you on. Marley's Masterpiece. I was commenting to Jean before we hit record that the cover art is beautiful. It really is nice and colorful. It looks like a young girl is painting, I'm going to guess, on her wall. Is that a good guess?
That is a very good guess, yes.
All right. Tell us about the book, please.
Well, the inspiration came from my own granddaughter, Marley,
Uh-huh.
and she was about 6, and she loves painting. And um, I, the way I put the story together is I combined a couple of different incidences. My great nephew, who was about 4, during his nap time, decided he would paint, and his mom was napping. He was supposed to be napping, but he went all over the house with paint. They ended up having to replace the kitchen counter. I mean, it was really bad. So I put those two experiences together, and in the book, Marley loves painting, which my Marley does. She just absolutely loves colors and seeing the swirls, and the colors mixing. And so her mom and dad support her in the story, and they take her to a big art museum. And she loves looking at all the paintings, but in this one room they had, and I don't know how many people would be familiar with this, but a huge painting by Monet. It's one of his most famous pictures is a bridge going over gardens, and there's lily pads, and this painting, I have seen it, can cover 3 walls, like from floor to ceiling.
Uh-huh.
And so in the story, Marley is transfixed by that and loves it. So she becomes inspired and goes home, and it's nap time. Her mom lays down. She lays down, but she can't get to sleep because she keeps thinking about that painting and decides she's going to paint her masterpiece. So she gets her paints out and she paints the walls down the hallway into the bathroom. She goes and paints the coffee table in front of the couch where her mom is napping. And she thinks about how excited her mom is going to be when she wakes up. And of course, her mom wakes up and is just horrified by the paint all over the house. Just like, oh my gosh, Marley, what have you done? And Marley says, I'll show you some more of my masterpiece. And so they walk around the house and so on. Anyway, ends up mom and dad and Marley have a talk, and mom and dad explain that painters like Monet would paint on canvases and to hang on the walls. And they said, we love your paintings, we love your colors, but we got to get some canvases or something for you to paint on. And that some painters have studios they work in, and they said Monet used to paint outside sometimes too. Anyway, so they clean up all the mess. All 3 of them work together as a team, clean up the paint. And that night, Marley is laying in bed thinking, and she runs into her parents' bedroom and says, I need my own studio where I can paint. And so the 3 of them talk, and at the very end, she's out in the garage, and they've given her a whole wall with canvases and paints, and she's just having a great time painting. So that's the story. And at the end, I talk a little bit more about Monet, who this guy was way back, and talk a little bit about how colors combine to make new colors and things like that. And then at the very last page, it's an empty page. It looks like there's a frame. The illustrator painted a frame around that page. And the message at the bottom of the page is, use this page to create your own masterpiece.
Oh, neat.
So kids who get the book, can color in there, do whatever they want. So that's a long answer to your question.
Well, no, that's really, really fun. And it reminds me, and it happened a number of years ago, so I'm blanking on the name of the guest, but we had a guest here. And she was an illustrator from Italy. And I remember she was very nervous because she didn't think her English was so great. And so she wanted a list of questions, which I don't usually do, as you know. So finally, I gave her a couple, but I just asked her, so how did how did your parents support you? And how can a parent of a kid who loves to draw support that image? And she just said, my parents allowed me to draw anything I wanted or to paint anything I wanted on the walls of my room.
Oh.
And it was at that moment when the fear of her not having enough English kind of vanished, because she became very animated and very excited to tell me all about her parents and how they supported her dream. And that's, as you're talking about Marley, that's all I'm thinking about, is that Italian illustrator as a little girl just going to town on the walls of her room.
Yeah. And that's one thing that was important in the book, that I wanted to show, that parents supporting a child's innate interest. If they're interested in painting, support it. Buy them paints, buy them canvases, take them to art studios and museums and talk about them. Buy books about them, about great artists, and really support it. So in the book, I didn't want Marley to be punished.
Right.
And so they educated her.
Yep.
They said, and we will provide this, and so on. So that was an important part of that, of the book, is to support your child's innate interest, whether it's ants or it's stars or it's, whatever it is, putting things together, mechanical things, go with it and support it.
Yeah.
And enjoy it.
As you were telling the story, I was really happy the parents didn't, they were upset and it's like, what's going on? But they didn't, like, as you said, they didn't punish her. I think as parents, we need to remember, I always talk about, let's put ourselves into our kids' head so that we can enjoy the awe that the kids experience for the first time they see something that we've become accustomed to and don't even notice. When they see it, and it's like, wow, get into their heads so that you can appreciate this stuff and how cool that is. And at the same token, we need to understand that when a kid does something, they're not necessarily doing it out of malice. They don't know. And you can't be punished for not knowing something.
Right. And that's what happened with Marley. She saw this masterpiece in this art museum and just thought, I can do that. And, and it was on the walls, for all she knew, it was painted on the walls, even though, we know it's on canvases and things. And so she came home and thought, I'm going to surprise my mom and dad. I'm going to paint my masterpiece too. So it was all innocent,
Mm-hmm.
And I know as a parent, we raised 3 kids and they're adults now, but you look back at your parenting and there are times when you say, oh, I didn't handle that so well. You do the best you can, and parents are human too, but we can work at that, and celebrating our children's unfolding of their interests. Like, it might be an interest for 4 or 5 years, but then it might change or it might morph into a different type of interest, so, or it might be lifelong. You never know. Yeah.
You raise a good point. Because while we always, want to encourage families to support your kids' interest, understand they might lose interest in that one thing, and that's okay. How many parents are out there with their kids, and the kid's 6 or 7, and he wants or she wants to play soccer, and it's great, and we'll get you the ball, and we'll get you the cleats, and this, and we'll take you, and at 9 and 10, what do you mean you don't want to play soccer? You're great, you're fabulous, you're gonna win a college scholarship, and you got to be able to let that go. Yeah,
and you will have pictures of them during that time, and they'll remember that. As they get older, they'll go, oh, I really liked soccer so much, but then, this came along, and I like this so much better, or, they might continue to like to watch soccer on the TV, but not necessarily play it.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Jean. This is off the subject. The only place I'm going to watch any of the World Cup is on TV because it is too darn expensive. It's crazy. The price for the World Cup.
Yeah. How much is it per ticket? Do you know? It's like $1,000 or something.
It's in the thousands. The thing that just blew me away here in the Boston area, they just announced the prices for parking. And it starts at $150, and then by the last game in Boston, it's going to be $1,000 to park.
Why? Why are they doing that?
They can get away with it. Someone's dumb enough to pay. I'm sorry. If you're going to go to the game and you're going to pay, I don't mean to call you dumb, but I think that's dumb. That's, we're here because people have been paying these outrageous prices.
Yeah, and it kind of limits it to an upper income person too. I mean, you aren't going to just be able to pay that kind of money just to go to a soccer game or something. Yeah. The other thing that we living in Green Bay, you have Packer fans who are fanatics, and they have tickets and all that kind of stuff. We've lived here for about 30 years, and I think we've gone to 1 or 2 games at the most. And we ended up, the tickets that we got were way up like the last seats at the highest level, and you're squinting at it and the players look like they're about this tall. Yeah. And we both have said we love watching the Packers play on TV. Yeah. Because you can zoom in, they zoom in, you see the whole play, you actually can see their faces, and then if you want to, you can use the bathroom or go get a snack out of the refrigerator or do what you want. Yeah.
Yeah. I've told this story on the show in the past. My niece, when she was in 8th grade, she suddenly fell in love with hockey, and I wanted to support her in that. And I thought, it'd be great to take her to a Bruins game. And then I went and looked at the prices, and I'm like, oh, I'm not that nice of an uncle. And I kind of felt bad. But then I did a little bit more research in Providence, not too far away from Boston. They have the minor league team. Oh. And I discovered I could buy 2 season tickets to the Baby Bees. That it's the same price as 1 ticket to 1 game at the Boston Garden. So we spent the season driving down to Providence. And with Boston traffic, it took the same amount of time. At 40 minutes to Providence, it would have taken me 40 minutes to drive into Boston and then pay $50 to park. It was wonderful.
Yeah. And those are the memories that you'll remember. Just the drive there even, and getting in the car and talking and, and then talking about it afterwards, driving home. And how far away is that from you?
We live in the city of Boston, but we're as far away from downtown as you can be and still be within the city limits. So to actually drive into downtown can take forever with traffic. It's crazy. It might be 12 miles, but it can take you 40 minutes to an hour. Meanwhile, you get on the highway and zip down to Providence, 40 miles down to Providence, Rhode Island in the same amount of time.
Yeah. I'm not real familiar with that East Coast area.
No. Well, the only part of Wisconsin I've driven through is the Dells.
Oh, okay. So you stayed in the southern part. Yeah.
Yeah. I was on my way to Mankato, Minnesota to perform. And I didn't want to go to Mankato in the wintertime, but they paid me an obscene amount of money. And so
good for you.
You got to go. And I did.
Yeah.
And as I was driving through the Dells, I thought, wow, this would be a really fun place to visit in the summertime.
Yeah, it is. And northern Wisconsin is gorgeous with waterfalls and hiking paths. And Door County is real famous. It's kind of like, I imagine the East Coast, the villages, up along Maine, the coast up there. Yep. There's a lot of little villages and the whole county is just packed with artist galleries. all kinds of artists and theater productions that are outside, and really interesting little cafes and coffee shops. So if you ever come to Wisconsin, try to get up into Door County. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous area. A couple of nice big parks and just lots of good outdoor scenery you can see. But it has a lot of artists in it, and theater groups that perform outdoors, and we love going up there to Door County. In fact, it's about 3 hours or so from Chicago to get up to Door County. And when you go into Door County during the summer, you see a lot of Illinois license plates.
Yeah, I
So
bet.
a lot of Chicago people love coming up to Door County too. So lots to see and do in Wisconsin.
Hey, I bet you didn't think you'd be talking about the World Cup or tourism here. Tell me, did you always dream of being a children's author?
No. I became a grandmother, and well, I was a speech and language pathologist to start with. So it was really fascinating for me to watch the new grandbabies grow and develop language and speech. It was fun to watch them, but grandkids say the funniest things, just incredible stuff. The way they interpret things, the way they put their language together to talk is just hilarious and fun. Like I had my one other grandson who's he's about 6 now. He was visiting our house, and he's from Minneapolis, and he was laying on the floor in our living room on his back, and he was just kind of singing, and I was kind of nearby, and he goes, "Grandma," I said, "What, Marvin?" And he goes, "You are very naturey." And what he meant is I love to be out in nature, but he created that new word, and I thought, oh, that's so interesting. So the grandkids have really inspired me. Marley's my second book. My first book was an experience I had with her older brother, Marley's older brother, Parker, with gardening, because he loves gardening. And I learned about these huge pumpkin growers who gave me seeds to grow like 2,000-pound pumpkins. Wow. And I gave like 3 of them to Parker, and he started growing them. And then we started brainstorming what would happen if it got to be 2,000 pounds. What if you brought it into Grandma's house? How would you get it out? And so on. So, and Marley's book started with her loving painting. And then my grandniece, who was about that same preschool age, painting all over the house. I just thought, oh, that'd be a cute story, wouldn't it? Cute picture book. Because I used picture books in my work too, with preschoolers. So I just typed it up, and I thought, oh, I wonder if I could get this published. I totally had no experience in publishing. I've had to learn all the way along, and I'm still learning, because the publishing world can be very complicated and complex and crazy. And so I just started sending it into publishers and getting it edited and critiqued and doing all those steps I was told I needed to do, until the publishing company here in Wisconsin accepted Marley's masterpiece. So it wasn't like I had a big plan for it. It just kind of evolved. And I just I'll do this. Oh, I'll do this, I'll type up a story about that, Oh, I'll see if I can publish it. Oh, I have to get it edited. And so that started about 5 years ago. And so I've published Parker's Pumpkin and now Marley's Masterpiece, totally based on what kids' interests are and what they do.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing the third book is going to be something like Marvin's naturey grandmother.
You are pretty darn close. Exactly. You're exactly right. It starts out with a wooden chair that he paints, because when he was here once, I had an old wooden chair, and I said, "Marvin, you want to paint this?" He says, "Yeah." So we got out the paints and he just dabbed and smished,
Uh-huh.
he didn't paint it like I would paint it.
Yeah.
He just smattered paint all over and then nature, when he said that, I said, oh, I have an idea, it started coming in my head. And so you were right on.
Well, don't let any editor tell you that you can't use naturey because it's not a word. Sorry, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Fired.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's funny because I looked that up. I thought, how would you even spell that? And of course, AI, Chat GPT, they know everything. And they wrote it out how they would put a dash and a Y at the end kind of. And I thought, oh, okay, I can do that.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. How many grandkids do you have? We can figure out how many books you're going to be writing.
Well, I have 4.
Okay.
And these were the younger ones. And then the oldest one just turned 16. And I kind of have an idea for her. It's not really based on anything she said or done, but it's something I could see her doing. So, we'll see. We'll see. I'm getting older and I'm going, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Writing and publishing, a lot of work and a lot of time. And I'm starting to get to the point where I say, do I want to keep spending all this time doing this, or do I really want to just have free days and go traveling with my husband, seeing the world and stuff? So I don't know. Well, we'll see.
The neat thing about writing is that you can kind of do all that stuff, traveling the world with your husband or, in your time. Yeah. Let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Marley's masterpiece and all the other great stories coming from your imagination.
First of all, it's easiest to say you can find them on Amazon.
Uh-huh.
You can find them on my publishing company, and the name of the publishing company is Orange Hat Publishing. Orange Hat Publishing. You can find it there. You could go to my website, which is booksbyjean.com. Booksbyjean.com. If you see me in person, because especially in the spring and then the fall, I go to quite a few festivals, like farmers markets, pumpkin festivals, arts and craft festivals. But mainly I don't travel across the country. I'm not quite there yet.
Okay.
I've been in some schools around Wisconsin. Let's see. Oh, I did go over into Michigan and do a couple of library presentations and school presentations in Michigan. So, and then I have the books. You can buy it from me in person. I can sign it and that kind of thing.
Super. We've had a great time speaking to the author of Marley's masterpiece. It's a new picture book from our guest, Jean Huxtable Hamerski. Jean, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, this episode of Reading with Your Kids is brought to you by AspireDrinks.com. Hey, I have a quick question for you. Have you ever wanted a little extra energy, but not the kind that makes your heart race or leaves you crashing an hour later? Well, that's exactly why I want to tell you about Aspire Drinks. You'll find them at AspireDrinks.com. Aspire calls itself a healthy energy drink, and honestly, that description really fits. Instead of loading you up with sugar or extreme caffeine, Aspire delivers a gentle, steady boost with 80 milligrams of natural caffeine from green tea and guarana. That's about half the caffeine of most energy drinks, enough to help you stay focused without the jitters or the crash. It's also 0 sugar, 0 calories, and 0 artificial additives, which makes it a great choice for parents, teachers, and anyone trying to make healthier choices while still getting things done. And get this, it actually tastes great. Light, crisp, and lightly sparkling with flavors like sweet cherry, raspberry acai, mango lemonade. That's what I love. No heavy aftertaste and easy on the stomach. Aspire is packed with B and C vitamins, biotin, and ginger. And it's vegan, gluten-free, keto-friendly, really designed for real life. And just for Reading with Your Kids listeners, you can get an exclusive discount of 20% off. That's the highest discount available when you shop at aspiredrinks.com and use our promo code READ. That's READ at aspiredrinks.com. Healthy energy done right. Hey, my friends, I have a super idea you are going to love. How about this weekend, turn your backyard cookout into a storybook celebration. Fire up the grill, crack open a few of your favorite picture books, and serve up Big Fork Brand's legendary bacon sausage. Made with nitrate-free bacon and premium pork, it's juicy, smoky, and unforgettable. Top it off with Big Fork's spicy Chicago fire sauce, and you've got a meal as bold as the characters in your favorite bedtime tale. Get 20% off your order using the promo code READ at bigforkbrands.com. That's bigforkbrands.com. Promo code READ to get 20% off, because nothing brings families together like great food, great books, and a whole lot of flavor. Big Fork Brands. Read, grill, repeat. Join us right now from the beautiful state of Connecticut. Our guest is here today to celebrate his brand new picture book. Is called The Colors of My Sky. Please welcome to the show author, stand-up comedian, personal trainer, Andrew Ginsberg. Andrew, how are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Delighted to have you on. Andrew, your picture book, the cover of The Colors of My Sky, features this beautiful blue butterfly. And I have a picture of being down in the rainforest in Costa Rica. And I'm in the rainforest, so I have a blue raincoat on. And there is a beautiful, ginormous blue butterfly on my shoulder. And I had no idea. The people around me go, "Hey, don't move. And we took the picture, and it was just great. And that immediately brought that memory back to me when I saw the cover art for your book.
Well, that shows what a warm, kind person you are, because they'll only approach somebody that, like I took my kids to the Metropolitan Museum of Natural History. They had a butterfly exhibit, and they waited for 40 minutes for a butterfly to land on them, and not one would. Oh. So that's a big deal.
Well, I have a feeling there were a few more butterflies down in Costa Rica in the rainforest than might have been at the Met. So tell us about the book.
So the book is about a blue butterfly named Lester, whose mother prohibits him from playing with any other butterfly except for blue ones. And the tagline is, "Blue is my sky and the finest butterfly." And Lester goes to school, and an orange butterfly wants to play with him, and a yellow one wants to play with him, and his mother keeps telling him no, because blue is my sky, the finest butterfly, color of your wing is the only thing. And Lester's frustrated and sad, and finally at the end he can't take it anymore, and he tells his mother to come to a party, and he asks, when is the sky gray? A gray sky means clouds cry. See the gray butterfly? That's my friend Grace. And he does that with every color, and he shows his mother that the sky is not just blue. The sky can be many different colors, so it's time to open your mind and let me play with my friends. Yeah. So it's really a protest against racism. It's a pretty serious theme, but it's done, I think, in a very subtle way. And I think it's a very sweet story overall.
Yeah. Now, I'm almost 100 years old, and so I remember hearing people say things like that. I hope that kids aren't hearing that. I know racism still exists, so I understand that. But I'm hoping it wasn't as blatant as it was when I was a kid growing up in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, I don't think it is, but I definitely think there's still exclusion, even if a kid, has a learning disability or looks different, looks funny looking, whatever the difference is. I think it helps bring them together. It doesn't have to be race, but it can be, the way somebody speaks or their nose or if they learn a little slower than the other students. So it's more about just acceptance and celebrating our differences rather than scorning them.
Hmm. Tell me, what was the inspiration for this book?
So my wife has green eyes. I have brown eyes. All three of our kids have blue eyes, big blue eyes. Where did these blue eyes come from? I don't know. Maybe grandpa, maybe who knows? There's a lot of jokes there, but one day my son said, my eyes are the sky, Leo's eyes are the ocean, Remy's eyes are the ocean, mommy's eyes are grass, and yours are poop. Because mine are brown. And yeah, I thought it was funny, but I also thought about how he put blue on a pedestal. I mean, and I think most people do. Blue eyes are kind of, they're jewels. People really look brown eyes. No one's impressed by brown. There's a couple of songs, Brown Eyed Girl, but there's a lot more songs about blue eyes. Mm-hmm. And I started thinking about that, and the sky is blue, and I was trying to think of an idea, a way to get this point across, but not too preachy, and I found it. So that was the inspiration. My son basically putting my brown eyes on the bottom of the food chain.
Well, hopefully this blue-eyed guy would never say that to you, because my beautiful wife has beautiful brown eyes. So I disagree with your son in that case.
Oh, good. I do too, by the way. I do think blue are nice, though.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, no, you weren't talking about mine. That's okay. What kind of conversations do you hope that families will have as they're reading The Colors of My Sky?
I think realizing the theme I'm trying to get across, and it's interesting. Tomorrow I'm going to do an author visit at both of my son's elementary school. So it's so exciting for me. And I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation with a slideshow. And the themes are celebrating our differences and embracing change. Because the sky is always changing. Butterflies, profound change. Absolutely beautiful, magical change. And trying to get the point across that we're not just one thing. Every student there is a son, a brother, a sister, a pet owner, a friend. And they're always changing. Their nose is getting bigger. Their hair is growing. Their nails are growing. So, and they're going to go through many, many changes in their life, and to welcome them, because it's something to celebrate, not to worry or fear or look down upon. So really to get the point across that nothing is just one thing.
I think that's so important these days. I was just at an educational conference, and the keynote speaker talked about the importance of helping kids learn how to pivot. And I love what you're talking about, helping kids understand that that they are many things. The days, when I was growing up, the days of, hey, you're going to get a job at the plant and you're going to stay there forever. Those days are gone.
Absolutely.
And, there's a whole lot of jobs that are going to be gone in the next 5 or 10 years because of AI. One of the things the keynote speaker brought up is that AI is also going to be creating more jobs than it's going to be taking away. So kids and adults are going to have to be able to see themselves as something more than just a teacher or an electrician or a baker or whatever it is that they think they're going to be when they're kids. They have to realize that they're probably going to have many pivot points and many changes, and that's actually a good thing.
Absolutely. If they didn't, that would be a sad thing, I think. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. It's certainly not 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Forget it. So, and I think that's a great thing. To stay stuck is a really sad thing.
Yeah. And I was mentioning, you're an author, stand-up comedian, personal trainer. You're actually living this right now. How did you learn to be comfortable with change and kind of taking one hat off and putting another hat on?
Well, I was just a free spirit, very rebellious always, and I kind of just followed what was attractive at the time. And it was bodybuilding when I was younger, and then I'm like, oh, I like making people laugh. Let's try this. And then I did, then I wanted to write, so I started writing. It's really just following what's charming at the time. Like, I'm a big believer in follow the charm. Whatever, and that can change. And it probably will change. Right now, I'm writing children's books because my kids are of that age. I still read to them. It's fun. I'm really into it. In 10 years, they'll be aged out. Will I still want to? I hope so. But again, I'm open to anything. I'm not, never say never. And it's exciting what the future holds. But that's kind of been my life. And I'm kind of saying we're all butterflies. We're all going to change profoundly. And just to kind of, let the wind take you where it will, because there's no point resisting.
Yeah, yeah. Being a stand-up comedian for adults is very different than being a children's book author. What makes kids laugh, what you can say to kids to make them laugh is very different than what you can say in a comedy club. Was it difficult for you to kind of get that discipline to stay within the kidlit barriers, guardrails?
The kids are the easiest audience ever. Kids laugh at poop. Kids laugh at fart. Kids laugh if you say something in a silly way. Adults are a lot harsher, especially when they paid $20 and a 2-drink minimum. So I like the step down. I like it's a much friendlier, welcoming audience. They don't have they don't really have too much self-consciousness at this age, and they're not trying to impress anyone. They're just looking to have fun. I mean, they laugh so much more than adults. They smile so much more than adults. They're just so much more fun than adults.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love their honesty. They say everything they think, and it's so cute.
Yeah. Have you done enough school visits where you've gotten the really off the wall question yet?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the best questions are the ones that are statements. I'll be like, any other questions? Yeah. Joey got stung by a bumblebee. Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. I had pancakes for breakfast. Oh, that's wonderful. It's just, they say it's just wacky. When you open it up to questions, it's hilarious. I think it's the funniest part.
Yeah. Amen. Many of those, I've heard many of those, and some it's like, you might want to talk to your teacher about that.
Yeah. They're just silly.
Tell me, was there somebody in your life that helped inspire your love of reading and writing?
Yeah. I had, it was interesting when I had a personal training business in New York City for 16 years. And somehow, fortuitously, I ended up training writers. Some people train the trainer to the stars with the actors. I had all these writers, like New York Times writer Frank Bruni, a really well-known poet named Phyllis Levin, a tech writer named Shane Snow. And they were so interesting. And I just learned so much from, reading their columns and talking to them. Because, writers, I think, are the most interesting people because they just have their ideas to work off of. And, it motivated me to write because I really started to love them as people and friends. And I always thought what writers do is so cool. I also love what Frank Bruni did because he could write this great column and then walk down the street and no one bothers him. So he could have a level of notoriety, but without it destroying his privacy. And I love that. I love that about really well-known writers. They can kind of have it all.
Yeah. Tell me, what's the creative process like? Because I'm imagining when you're writing comedy, does an idea for a kid's book pop into your head? When you're writing a kid's book, does a comedy riff maybe pop into your head? Are you thinking about blue butterflies when you're pushing somebody to do another set?
I think I've become a good listener. I'm always listening for the silly thing the kid says or the insightful question the kid has. Like I was reading a book to my son, Leo, a few nights ago about sharks. And it's about how they kill us and how they're vicious and how their teeth can rip through anything and they can smell blood 3 miles away. All these horrible, scary things about sharks. And then all these books, they always have this little thing at the end where like, and they're endangered and we really need to do more to save them. And my son Leo's like, why do we want to save them? They're killing us. We should get rid of the rest of them. And I'm like, that's a funny point of view. So it's stuff like that. I'm like that, because he's just being logical. It wasn't, he wasn't in the wrong. It was just I love the perspective.
Yeah.
So stuff like that.
Yeah. I must still be your son's age because I think that stuff all the time.
Yeah. We want to help these sharks. Why exactly? So we can make another Jaws, but it be a real documentary. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, how has being the writer of picture books changed the way you see the world?
Uh, it's made me more hopeful. It's made me more hopeful because so many of them, the really good ones, are just beautiful and they're so succinct and some poetic, and it's lightness. There's a lightness to it. It's more sweet and fun and innocent. It's not. I mean, you look at, we put on the news and the world's burning, and then you read a children's book and you're like, oh yeah. I can be hopeful. There's a future ahead. I can learn new lessons. It really brings it down to like a molecular level rather than this chaos at the time. It's like the ocean. And the children's book takes you deep where it's peaceful and quiet and silent. And then, TV or just the world and social media is like the wavy, crashing waves and a hectic storm. And then the children's book, you kind of get to go way down below, the bottom of the sea. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. What's the thing you love most about having kids that you're still reading to? What do you get the most joy out of?
The time with them. All the variables are aligned. It's tender. You're cuddling with them. They're laughing. They're looking at you. They're asking questions. They're also uninhibited. Like they feel it's kind of a quiet time. Maybe they just took a bath. Now they're in bed. They're getting ready for bed. It's a kind of a very relaxed time. And if you get them into a book that's really good, and then can we do another, please? One more. It's just, I mean, there's nothing in the world I'd rather be doing. It's my favorite thing in the world. I love reading to my kids more. In fact, that's why I stopped doing stand-up comedy, because we have book party in my house where we read 2 new books from the library every single night. And the comedy shows were all at 7:30, 8 o'clock. And that's when book party is. And I'm not missing book party to tell jokes to strangers. The priority shifted. So I won't do any, I won't give up reading to my kids for anything, because I also know there's a time limit. In my 4-year-olds, I still probably have 2 or 3 years, but the 8-year-old's reading on his own now. The 6-year-old soon will be reading on his own. So it's a very special time, and I don't take it for granted. And I really feel like I've maximized that.
Well, I got to take my hat off to you for making that choice. I know it was a difficult choice, but
it wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay.
It became pretty clear. I'm like, wait, what am I doing? I love this. I don't love that anymore.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, I have good news for you.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I discovered when I remember my kid was in 2nd grade, and it was my daughter and my youngest, and I was kind of bummed out because she was reading on her own. And her teacher came up to me and said, "You got to keep reading with her." I said, but she can read by herself. It doesn't matter. Keep reading with her. Keep reading with her through middle school, through high school if she'll read with you. So your 8-year-old and your 6-year-old, they can still get a lot. Co-reading with your, getting a middle grade novel that you and your 8-year-old can read at the same time and then come together and talk about on the way to school or at the dinner table or at the gym when you're training them. Man, there's so many benefits that kids still get and that we still get when we're reading together.
Yeah, no, we alternate pages. My son Ben, the 8-year-old, but there's still something so sweet about the really early ones that are just discovering language, and I mean that to me is the real prize. And I realized when you were talking that grandkids also will open that door.
There you go.
It's a bit of a wait, but it's.
I was going to say,
at.
hopefully the 8-year-old doesn't have a kid too soon.
Probably, yeah. It's a good point.
So tell me, what did your kids think about when you first read the Colors of My Sky to them?
They really liked it. They had to think about it because it's not light reading. It's not It's not Goodnight Moon, which is a beautiful book, but they had to think about it because the mom is really cruel. She's really mean and thoughtless, and they get a little bit upset, but then they see where the payoff is nice, and she learns her lesson, from the child, Lester, the son teaches her the lesson, and then they loved it. They love how it ends because it's kind of a happy ending, but it definitely gets them. It's not like a lot of the other children's books. It does get you a little bit elevated as far as it's tense. The beginning's quite tense because he's not getting to play with any of his friends, and why they're like, well, that's not nice. It's good. It makes them think, which I think is good.
We did a series. It's in Spanish, but the books that are published for audiences in Latin America are very different in tone than the books that are published for audiences in the United States. Same with audiences in Europe and Australia and whatnot. So in addition to being a hit here, you might want to look at translating it, because the books in Latin America do tend to be more hard-hitting and going deeper. And this might just be a hit there too.
Okay, thank you. I'll definitely look into that.
Yeah. Speaking of the future, is there another children's book coming from your imagination? I know that The Colors of My Sky just went out and you're into the marketing phase, but I imagine there might be some ideas turning.
Yeah, no, one thing that I did keep going. I've been writing nonstop. I have 7 other books. 3 of them are being shopped around right now by my agent. And I think that some are really fun. Some are a funny one. I have one called The Holiday Mix-Up that I'm hoping somebody will put. It's about Santa Claus goes to get his cookies after he comes out of a chimney, and leprechauns eating them. And then the Tooth Fairy shows up, and basically all the holiday characters are fighting because Hurricane Pickles ripped through the globe and jumbled the world's calendar. So nobody knows what the date it is, and all the fun holiday characters show up and they're arguing it out. And it turns out to be none of their birthdays. It turns out to be it turns out to be the kid's birthday that lives there. But it's the banter's really funny. Uncle Sam is there, the groundhog's there. It's just really fun.
Awesome.
So stuff like that.
Well, let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about The Colors of My Sky and find out more about you.
Colors of My Sky, I can go to Amazon. It's on Amazon, and so far it's been really well received. And I have a website, andrewginsburg.com, and you can find me on Instagram at Andrew Ginsburg, and that's GINSBURG. And I'm really excited about this book. I really I feel like it has something special.
Awesome. We've had a really great time speaking to the author of The Colors of My Sky. Our guest has been Andrew Ginsburg. Hey, Andrew, thanks for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids, and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. If this episode made you smile or gave you something to think about, please consider sharing a link to the show with someone you love. Post it on your socials. Write a 5-star review, and of course subscribe to the show wherever you find your favorite shows. We'd really love it if you would connect with us on social media. Facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, at Reading With Your Kids on Instagram, at Gently Magic on X, and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/readingwithyourkids, and our website, readingwithyourkids.com. If you are the author of a fantastic children's book, you absolutely want to visit readingwithyourkids.com to find out how you can be a guest here on Reading with Your Kids. Being a guest is fun, it's easy, and it gives you the chance to tell thousands of Kidlit fans all over the world about your fantastic children's book. readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guest, Jean Huxtable Hamerski. Please be sure to check out Marley's masterpiece. And Andrew Ginsburg. Please be sure to check out The Colors of My Sky. I want to thank my promotion director, Chris Doherty. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the love and support she brings into my life. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better, more empathetic, kinder, more caring place. And you do that every time you sit down and read with your kids. I'll be looking to you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.